Hi. So that was the year 2022. I hope you all had a really lovely Christmas and drank too much and ate too much and got lots of plastic crack. Thank you to the few people who've turned up to hear me and to talk to me, because this time I'd like to talk to you. 2022, that was a year in Warhammer. What happened in Warhammer in 2022? It's an open question. Is the sound okay? Everything okay out there? Are we okay? I had a lovely Christmas. Thanks for asking. Hello, Winters. And Timothy Unwing in the chat. Sam Cole, A. Kirby. Hello. Jonathan Dawson's first live. Hi, Winters. Very big fan of yours. Newly started collecting after taking a 22-year break. Well, welcome back to the hobby, and regrets to your bank balance. Sound is good. Image is good. Heresy. Horus Heresy had a massive refresh. Yes, it did in 2022. That's one of the big things that happened. Sounds good. Happy to be on one of your live streams. You are the best. No, Nicholas Verone, you are the best. I'll be honest, it was your fault. Jonathan Dawson, I'm terribly sorry that I got you into Warhammer after a 22-year break, and I'm more sorry to your bank balance, really, because you're going to have a great time. Let's face it, it's going to be lovely. And where have you been for the last 22 years? Seriously. Hey, Winters, you Imperial Dog, says Wee Man. The Dagda says hi all. Garsty says evening, Winters. Good to see you. Keeping well. I don't know whether they're good to see me keeping well. Well, I try. I'm on the, what's it called? Keto diet? The one where you don't have any sugars and carbs. It's basically fats and cheese and protein and stuff. It's lovely. Fried eggs for breakfast and things. So we'll see how that goes. Jonathan Dawson, saving cash for such an occasion. Sorry to interrupt you anyway. I'll be quiet and sit and watch. No, Jonathan, you're part of... We're in this together, okay? We're on a 40k hobby journey this evening where we look back at 2022. What happened in Warhammer in 2022? Keto diet, great diet, mate. Yeah, so far so good. Basically, I can eat as much cheese and add, instead of sugar in my tea, it's cream. Yeah, it's lovely so far. It's going great. It's only been a few days. No potato, I would die. Exactly, but say you could have as much cheese, and we all like cheese, don't we? I mean, yesterday she made this like tomato, mozzarella, spinach salad, and it was like loads of it. I smashed that. Have I played 40k Darktide? No, not yet. I need a window. If I am to play a video game, it's going to take me out for a while. So I need to find that free window. And at the moment, that free window is all kind of taken up with heresy, because one of the big things that happened in Warhammer in 2022 was Darktide. That was a big thing. It's a good game. It's doing well. I've seen Jack Frags knocking it out of the park with one of our Lord and Saviours, Luton, getting in there on the action. Get in there, boy. Well done, Luton. And then Horus Heresy. Yeah, so that's taken up a lot of my free time now. Like, I made a video which is going to be going on after this, probably tomorrow, my Necrons, what I did with the Necrons all this year. And I've already painted about 2,000 points worth of Emperor's Children and been playing a lot of it. And I've filmed 3 games now. One's up for Tier 3 channel members and Deployment Zone. And the other 2... I think the next one is coming out in the Deployment Zone next Tuesday, and then the one after that is probably going to go on YouTube because it was a banger. And So Darktide was your question. No, I haven't played Darktide yet. I'd need to find. I've got other things. You've just got to go where you go. Right, and there's other things pulling me on. Besides, the free bit of wargaming time that I've had online to do killing is mainly been in the war zone in Al Mazrah. And I got 2 wins on the Battle Royale so far. Yeah, first time I jumped in with the boys. Where are we? Keto, allergic to milk, yeah. Vegetarian, so keto, yeah. Jonathan Dawson, brief question, just so I don't have to pester my local Games Workshop. Can I use the 30k Redemptor Dreadnought if it looks cooler than the 40k version in my 40k army? Of course you can. You just tell your opponent beforehand. I know Sultan, for example, and I know a number of Blood Angels players that run the Blood Angels Contemptor as their librarian dreadnought, but that's still got dreadnought shot. Of course you can. Unless a tournament or unless a store has a 100% strict WYSIWYG rule, which very few do, they essentially want you to run the cool stuff. If you're in a store or someplace and the models look really good, that's the best advertisement for it. Hugo Merchant, welcome back to your chat. Gifted 5 memberships. The first 5 gifted members, we're going to keep track of this one because it's the last one of 2022. So what happens with other is a nice graphic will come up on your screen saying. Anyway, big shout out to Hugo in the chat, please. Big thanks all round. 5 new members. So this is about as technical as I can get for all those who haven't been along before. And over there behind me is the trophy for the 2021 No Retreat Legends of Legends champion winner, which I won. I'm probably announcing it here because I don't think I've mentioned it before, but I actually won that. Beat an England champion in the... No, I beat a member of the England team. Beat Canada. Beat America. Beat Lawrence Baker from Tabletop Tactics. Beat the Spider. 1 point. Can you see that? 5. It's a bit, yeah. Sorry, it works though. That's technical. Where are we? Loving it. Howdy Winters, Pointy Paint, Stats and Des. There isn't a 30k Redemptor. You'd have to use a Leviathan or Contemptor. There isn't a 30k Redemptor? No, there isn't a 30k Redemptor. No. But yeah, go for cool. Rule of cool. Big thanks to Hugo here or there, That's and Dead. But as long as your opponent knows what it represents, it doesn't matter exactly. The coolest things. I mean, there was that Orc video, that battle report that came out recently on YouTube where I played, Sullivan Gulliman, him, and Sullivan Gilbert. If you're watching this later, sorry, dude. And he played with that lovely converted Orc army. He says, this is this, and this is this, and this is this. And I'm going, okay, great. I love it. Bring it on. Come on now. Anyway, we're still talking about dreadnoughts. I'm lost. Got a shadow sword for Christmas. Built it today. Looks grand. Nice. Super heavy tanks. Here's the thing that Games Workshop can do, just in case anyone from Games Workshop ever listens to one of these. Release a plastic super heavy Space Marine tank. And it can be something you can buy in 30k, but you can put it in the 40k codex, just like the Bane Blades and the Storm Swords and the other plastic Imperial Guard Lord of War tanks. Say there was a Lord of War choice that the Space Marines could call upon, and say it was a 1 pick, say it was like a special boom once, you can have 1. You're gonna, not only everyone who ever plays the game and plays 30k, everyone else who collects will want the first plastic Lord of War super heavy tank, not one of the Forge World ones. And it could be the Foulblade, it could be one of those, or it could be a newish variant of one of those with some guns, but you're going to make bank, yo. Those are my thoughts on super heavy tanks. Give us more. Where are we? Nicholas Verone, did you see the silhouettes that were released today? Yes, I saw the silhouettes. And you know what? I was more excited by the silhouettes that I saw released yesterday. It looks like we're getting the Sniper Praetor. I forget what his name, Consular. Plastic jet bikes. All those sorts of goodies. The silhouettes today, new Primaris Marine. Well, what year? Isn't there a year without some new Primaris stuff? And I think Space Marine 2 is fairly openly revealed that there will be Jump Pack Primaris, and there is Not just the Gravis kind, not just the shooty Hellblaster kind, but maybe Hellblasters with close combat weapons. And maybe Gravis people with just not fists, but with a shield and a sword and going in there like Terminators, semi-Terminators. But it's the shield that gives them the 5-up invulnerable save or something like that toughness. We're getting all of these models. They're all coming. So I saw all the silhouettes. Yeah. And I can only really remember the Space Marine one. There were some demons in there. Oh, and the bad mech, I think. Yeah, definitely some bad mech. They were chicken legs. I could recognize those chicken legs anywhere on that Admech Walker, the silhouette of the Admech. But there was a sword there, and there was a bit too many spikes, like it was a spiky cloak of doom it was wearing. There's bad mech coming. They'll make money off of that, hopefully, if they don't screw the codex up. Because I love my Admech, and honestly, I mean, I collected Admech before Admech was a thing. Admech was first released on Forge World, a bit like Plastic Thunderhawks and Warhand Titans. Was released on Forge World, first of all, as Thalaxi, and then the Mechanicum and the Tagmata army lists, and I bought that shit up. So I had Admech before Admech was a thing in 40k, and I've played them about 4 times since the new codex dropped. Maybe, I don't know, they all blur into one. Maybe it's 8 times. But let's just say it is less. It's definitely less than 8 times. I've been driven back to playing Death Guard, Necrons, Space Marines. Those I like playing because they're simple. I want to decide what I'm doing every single turn based on my Skitarii or my Cult Mech every single turn, based on what the opponent is doing every single turn. Not because I don't like reacting to my opponent, because I love reacting to my opponent. I do it all the time in 30k. In Horus Heresy, everyone has a reaction they can make in the movement phase. Everyone has a reaction you can make in the shooting phase. Everyone has a reaction you can make in the assault phase. The reaction is always the same. So when I'm playing you in Horus Heresy, you've got 3 stratagems. One you can do in the movement phase, you can move closer or further. One you can do in the shooting phase, you can hide or shoot back. And one you can do in the charge phase, you can brace or overwatch. And I've got exactly the same 3 stratagems, reactions, and I know exactly when they're gonna. I don't know exactly when I'm going to play them. I don't know when they're going to be exactly played against me, but I know they will be played against me. And you've got this interactive push and take, and apparently reactions are also in AOS. So we'll see if they turn up in 40k, because right now it does feel like a better system than stratagems, and it does exactly the same thing. But the reason why I much prefer doing that instead of just changing my rules, my Skitarii rules or my Cult Mech rules every single turn based on what I'm doing or what my opponent's doing, up or down, isn't because I don't like the back and forward mechanic. It's because it feels gotcha. Because it feels bad. It feels because I'm using rules to not tactics. It's all of a sudden I've done something that you that you knew could happen. Maybe I could have gone further. Maybe I could have taken cover. Maybe I could have, but there's too many variables for you to plan against. This way, when I know you're going to react somewhere closer or further when I move something up, I'm trying to almost play chess with you. I'm trying to move something over here, hoping something over there will move further. And then the other one, because you can only do it once with 1 unit. There's certain rules that apply, but you can only do it once with 1 unit. And you're kind of baiting each other out with this. So there's no gotcha there. You're playing each other. And when it's, well, okay, I've done this, and then all of these guys this turn, just so you know, everyone's -1 to hit now. And then all of these other guys here, they've all got +1 attack, and they're going in there. And so I'm going to hit you better, and you're going to shoot at me worse by the stuff that's suppressing you in the backfield. Rules. And it just feels bad. And Custodes feel bad, so I haven't played them very much. I mean, turning around to someone and saying, Tanglefoot Grenade, you only roll 1d6 on your charge instead of 2d. I've come to hate, I'm saying this out loud, on stream for the first time, the thing I hate about 9th edition. Before I jump into this, someone remind me that I want to talk about the thing I hate about 9th edition, because I've just learned it with you here tonight. This is groundbreaking stuff. I'm going to write it down so I don't forget, because I want to dive into the chat. Sanguinary Guard, hello. He's always here. He's here today. What was we talking about? The thing I hate. let's chat. Sanguinary Guard, I want to say thank you for turning up and being my modest of mods. I saw something in your eyes right at the start when we first met on that first live stream, perhaps a year ago. I knew you were the right man for the job. The Hobo Death Guard for the win. Shouted. Nice. We play 40k to enjoy ourselves. Christian Kapang, how much you love 9th edition with all your heart, mind and soul, and that's the balancing was perfect for all the years. How much you love 9th edition. How much do I love 9th edition? 9th edition got the match play, tournament play bit right. Those guys are loving it. It also got rules for every single faction and make up your own factions. And Tau feel really Towy, and Nids feel really Nidsy, and Admech do have the command actions happen, command actions happen like it passing through and that's another layer of complexity there. It does actually feel, the armies do actually feel like you're fighting against those armies. So it did that well. But interestingly, in 30k, even though you're doing Marines on Marines, the Marines can feel very different. Night Lords can feel very Night Lordsy, and Emperor's Children can feel very... Anyway, so they did that right. They did the tournament part right. The core rules are good, but cover needs to change, be more simpler. Reactions instead of stratagems, or too many stratagems. And morale is not... The morale phase needs to be meaningful. Think stuff again. Put back in some of the good bits that you had, such as pinning or blinding or falling back or those kind of dynamics in the morale phase. But simpler. Put them in there. Come on now. That's the good stuff about it. The core rules are pretty good. And the other things I mentioned. Sanguinary Guard, the funniest people I've ever played are those who give you time to change your mind before gotchas. Exactly. Those are the funnest people, because you should be given all the time to change your mind before gotchas, and allow your opponent all the time to change their mind before gotchas, because you're not trying to use the rules against them. You're trying to do the most funnest things possible and play the funnest kind of game, the most positive kind of game out there. You can't win every game you play, but you can try and have fun every game you play. And one of the best ways you can try and have fun is encourage your opponents to have as much fun as possible. So that sort of stuff. Howdy ho, children, Asa. Hello. Misfit Kev UK says remove strats, simplify. Ginger Plums, thanks for some great bat reps this year. You often bring a strong narrative to your games. Is there scope for Games Workshop TL? Is there scope for Games Workshop to? Is there? You lost me. You had a good strong start there, Ginger Plums, but you lost me at the end. Woodsy, the game should be fun rather than gotchas. Ginger Plums, to do more with Narrative Crusader. Is there scope to do more with Narrative Crusade? Yes, there is. We've talked about this lots in previous live streams, but basically, Crusade narrative packs should have 50% should be narrative and maps and gorgeous looking shit, and then the other 50% is basically the missions, and it isn't too complicated. And Crusade should be the Pariah Nexus, should be the what I'm thinking about, the first Tyrannic War, should be the Fall of Cadia. They should be these should be the Third War of Armageddon, hell, the Second and First War of Armageddon. It should be these things. That's what Crusade. That's what people want to play. And the way to pull people towards Crusade narrative packs would be: look, you want Badab War? Here's Badab War condensed down, and look how gorgeous it is. People, because there's collectors out there. Sod all the Crusade players. There's people like me, Luton, lots of lore masters out there, and lots of you in the chat, and you watching this later on, which will buy the Badab, the First Tyrannic War, the Fall of Cadia, the Siege of Baal. You'd buy them because of the 70 pages of lore and maps and grids and all the cool stuff in it. It's like, wow, this is They'll become a bible of some of the greatest hits in Warhammer. And you can do other things like the Battle for Muglith Bay, for the Tau, these pivotal moments. There can also be Orc versus Necron entire campaigns, but Pronexus is good because everyone gets involved in that. But you can go faction specific or Xenos and Xenos. It doesn't have to be just Imperium all the time. And then simplify the rules right down for Crusade, because the last thing you want to learn on top of your codex rules and your rule rules is some more rules. You don't want more rules on top of the rules and the rules to play a casual narrative game. What you need is as simplified system as possible. So progression is really easy and really basic. You're talking about increased in strength, toughness, wounds, and that's pretty much it, or maybe a save, those sorts of things. But keep it really simple, and it will apply to a unit or a model like in a HQ. That's it, really, really simple, because the narrative, the progression comes from really playing the stories. At the back of the book, there'll be 12 missions from the Badab War, say, or maybe even 18, because 2 or 3 of them can be patrol-sized skirmish missions. 3 or 4 of them could be 1,000 to 1,500 point missions. Then you've got some 2,000 point missions. And then hell at the end, as well as 3,000 point missions, you drop in an apocalypse mission at the end for anyone who going over 4,000 plus. And on each mission, you keep it really simple. Like, say there's a core stratagem that everyone can use once. The good guys bag. You get to use this artillery strike. I get to use this artillery strike. Or if we're fighting inside a Space Hulk, everyone gets to Overwatch. And you keep it simple. And that's it for the rules. But the mission narrative, because it's Crusade, because it's a narrative book, is you're now inside the hull of this cruiser in the Badr. Everyone can do Overwatch all the time. You're trying to get to there. The enemy are trying to push through there to there. Run this one back. Let's see. And this is a really key Eye of the Storm moment that happened in the Badab War. And if it's simple, people will play it for the narrative because they've come to play a narrative. They've not come to level up all their crap. Leveling up crap, and it's got to be, if you bring in anything like that, like in all the campaigns I've done, and I must have done a dozen now, I haven't had a leveling up. Actually, I have. I have had a leveling up system, but that was in the Death Watch campaigns, though, because the Death Watch needed to be, and also in Champion. Okay, so you need it, but it needs to be simple, or you don't use it at all, and that's where, yeah. Anyway, hello, how are we doing? Chris Kopang is. I might get back to you. This way, even more narrative can be made by the referee GM, and great stories can be told if the captain leading an ambush or mind kills the warlord. Yeah, you can GM them, but the thing about a well-written basic narrative campaign where you get a point if you win, I don't get any points if I lose, and there's only 8 or 9, and you could play of these, say, 15 missions. You could play 3 of them, you could play 5 of them, you could have a winner of the campaign, but you're not playing the missions to win the campaign. But you could, if you wanted to, get a VP every single win that you have and see how many games out of 18 that you play. 10. Say you mark down 10 with your friend to see who wins the campaign overall, and at this crossroads this happened, good here, and then there it happened there, and then it's the key. But yeah, you don't need a GM if it's well written. You and a mate can do it. 40k is such a mess for newbies. Yes, it is, Tommy Grimbooter. Yes, it is. There's going to be a good refresh coming in, probably May 2023. We look forward to it. I can't even imagine getting into it right now. I hope that it's all fixed before TV shows, movies bring an influx of new gamers. Yes. So Space Marine 2, I guarantee you that Warhammer 40k 10th edition, the Winter's Guarantee, Warhammer 40k 10th edition will release before Space Marine 2. So the game is as accessible to newcomers as it can be without pissing off the established fan base. And that's the tightrope that they're always playing. But my view on that is, whatever changes happen in any edition, because I've been through all of them, you always piss off someone, because there'll be that part of the established fan base versus that part of the established. You're going to piss off some people when you make an edition change. It happens all the time. The question is, can you attract more in? And they clearly showed that they could do that from 7th to 8th. They pissed off a bunch of people at 7th. I know some people who stopped playing at 7th edition. They just stopped. Or took many years to get back in again, because 7th to 8th was such a change. But it was so accessible to new players that their shares just... It's the first time that ever their shares have increased that much, ever. Except for maybe... They did went up a big boost during COVID as well, because loads of people were trapped inside, so they bought miniatures and painted them. Hey, I can get that project finally done. And then wham, right when they were at the end of 8th and beginning of 9th. So they thought, wow, all these game making decisions that we're making, adding all the complexity is a really good idea. But no one was playing, so they didn't know. And here we are. So they know that, and it's going to get... The bushes, the hard bush will get cut back into a much smoother bush, so we can go through the bush into the warm embrace of Warhammer 40k 10th edition. And they're showing how much they care about accessibility in the recent codexes that have come out. They've all got simpler, and it looks like the World Eaters Codex will be the simplerest of all. Keith Moore has been a member for 11 months at Tier 2. Thank you so much. If you'd like loads of extra videos from me, Keith, as well as being in the Discord, then you can join me as a Tier 3 channel member. Or perhaps you're already in the deployment zone. Well, it seems I've been here for 11 months. What do you think of the prior Nexus trailer today? Apologies if you already answered this. No, I haven't answered this. It looked good, didn't it? It looked good. That one's on Warhammer Plus, isn't it? It looked like Astartes a bit. Did they get the Astartes guide to do that? Or is it the people who did the video bits for Space Marine 2, the cutscenes for Space Marine 2? Is it them? It looks very professional. I like the look of it. Still not going to be subscribing to Warhammer Minus anytime soon. They need to have a ton of good shit, and they just don't, do they? They just don't. Where are we? Just want to say hi. Thanks, Winters. Your content is a light in the grim darkness. Thank you, Berger. 9th trailer, guys, I reckon. Tommy Grimbooter thinks that it could have been the 9th trailer. Yeah, 9th trailer, guys. It looked very similar, didn't it? Woodsy does look great, apart the guard shouting out, "We can take them!" And then gets out a single las gun. Pew pew. Well, you know, faith in the Emperor and all that. Yes, so tonight we are going to talk about Warhammer 40k in 2022. What happened in 2022? 1 minute. The Dagda has been a member for 11 months, Tier 3. Loving your content at the moment. Superb. Loving you too. The Dagda. I remember what I was going to say earlier on now. So it's good that I've written it down, because none of you are reminding me of the thing that I wanted to say. So let's say it. Simple rules, then build as far as you want from there, Niall Walsh. Yeah, what I mean is you keep the rule set simple and the codex is simple, and you build complexity into the mission packs. So if you want a complex scoring game type, you can build that into the mission pack for tournament play. If you want a 8th edition, if you want a Horus heresy vibe, you could build that into their codexes and their mission pack. If you want a 40k vibe, you could build that. All sorts of things could be done with the mission pack, built around a good core system. And that's what video games do. They'll have COD, and built around COD is Warzone, DMZ, single player, multiplayer, all of those things. You know what I mean? This is how other games, that's how some games can function if you want them to. And our game philosophically and deeply and spiritually and religiously could function on that level as well. A seed of Warhammer 40k goodness, a seed giving birth to a trunk, a stem of Warhammer 40k goodness. Warhammer goodness. And from that 40k trunk, you can build, let's just call it a 40k trunk for now, you can build different mission packs for different ways of playing the game, open narrative, Crusade, Horus heresy, things like that. It's that is the kind of trunk I would like to see. So what I was gonna say, what have you heard for how 10th looks? I'm hearing Space Marines are getting a lot of love and NIDs are getting a significant nerf. Jonathan Dawson. I've heard, so what happens at the start of the rumour mill is we hear a few little things. And at the start of the rumour mill, there are a few little things that we could hear can be as equally wildly inaccurate as 100% on the money. But there's only a couple of voices. You have to wait for the rumour mill to pick up in volume. And the more accurate stuff drowns out the less accurate stuff. So at the moment, 10th edition, the only thing I can say about the upcoming 10th edition is it is going to be either the codexes or the core rules are going to be a simpler system, more accessible. That's all. I think the other stuff about the NIDs and the other... See, you talk about balance there. NIDs might get nerfed. Space Marines might get better. Look, there's going to be a new system, and in the new system, or there's going to be a refresh of this system, and within that, some things will be better or worse. It doesn't... To me, better or worse, that changes all the time for every edition. Some things are better, some things are worse. Which is why you should always have more than one army. Because if you care about winning, then when you start losing with one of your armies, you can start playing with the other one of your armies, or have 3 armies. And that is honestly what a lot of competitive people do, and tournament-minded players do. They will have 4, 5, 6 armies. So when one is getting good, they can invest in that, and vice versa. And yeah, that's, if you want to win, that's what you always need to do. But it's all relative. It's the edition change and the making more accessible side of things is much more interesting. Yes. So, what do you hate about 9th edition? Yes, thank you, Andrew Perez. I wrote it down, and someone is in there. Thank you, Andrew. I knew someone would shout it out. So, one of the epiphanies that I had earlier on today. Why is YouTube flashing at me? Oh, before we get into that, I broke my mouse. R.I.P. mouse. When I pulled it, all the stuff for this stays up there with all the other things that are getting done, painted and stuff. And because this monitor is my gaming monitor, this is the laptop monitor, and the gaming monitor is for the Xbox. Obviously, I did used to play on the telly downstairs, but eventually I'd trod on the cat so many times turning round, and also she'd had enough of me down there playing Warzone at 1 o'clock in the morning or Mass Effect, so she got me a monitor, and here we are. And this is where, so that needs to be empty when I'm swinging it about in the Warzone, slapping fools, getting those dubs in. This needs to be there. So it came down and it killed my mouse. RIP in the chat. RIP in the chat for mouse. He did me good service, that boy. He did me good service. He was my first mouse. You always remember your first mouse, don't you? I know I will. R.I.P. says Lynchy Lynch and Gerald of Rivia. R.I.P. and Simon M. Right, yes. Rip mouse. The thing we discovered earlier, that I've discovered the thing I hate about 9th edition. And I discovered this by chatting to you guys earlier. And are you ready? Squeak. Yes, squeak. The chair or the mouse. Ha, I get it. Well done, BC. Now, calm down. The thing I hate, okay? It's not just the thing I dislike. It's not just and while I was talking earlier, I was thinking, do I actually hate this as I was thinking of it? As I was thinking of it, and I thought, yes, I do. I hate this. This is the thing I hate in Warhammer 40k 9th edition. It's the gotcha moments. It's the gotcha moments. What is a gotcha moment? We can boil it right down to rules that hurt my opponent that they don't know about, basically. Not rules that hurt me. I don't want to be gotcha'd against. You want to gotcha the other person as much as possible. And there's so many rules that can gotcha the other person. Like, this ignores your invulnerable save. Now, this means you can only wound on a 3, 4, 5. You can't wound on a 1, 2, 3. Oh, this means you can only hit on a... You can't even hit on a 1, 2, 3. No, this rule means that you charge less of a distance. This rule means that you... my mind is being blown. This means that you shit out your guts and die. This is a horrible rule system. Give me other gotchas, please. Come on, let's dig this grave for Games Workshop, because I hate gotchas. Because not only do I hate them being done to me, but I hate doing them to my opponents. So you're explaining them all the time. Like, did you know that if I did this and you did that, then I'm going to absolutely destroy these guys and you're going to cry? Did you I'm going to move around here. Well, just to let you know that if you do that, I can overwatch you and charge you and kill you and give your skulls to the skull throne. But you need to charge me with another unit and then that maybe I might not be able to get enough skulls. Do you understand? And the person says, well, then I won't do that. I'm going to do this instead. That happens all the time because I am on the crest of a Warhammer 40k. I play all the time. I won the trophy behind the 5 members that we've had this evening. I know these things, okay? I take the hit so you guys don't have to. So lots of gotchas happen all the time, and that sucks, and I hate the part of the game that is full of gotchas right now. And there is a simple solution. The thing about Warhammer 40k 9th edition that I hate is the gotchas. And gotchas are rules that hurt the enemy and not you. Rules that stop you charging, or rules that stop people saving, or rules that means I can't hit, or rules that means you can't wound, or rules that... These are all gotchas, because it sucks when they get done to you, and it sucks when you do them to your opponent. So you don't want that to happen all the time. And the most simplest solution to this conundrum is only give me rules that help me. Like, okay, now I can do this and it helps me. And you've got stuff that can help you, stuff that makes you move faster, stuff that makes you fall back and shoot, stuff that makes you shoot in the combat, stuff that makes you overwatch a couple of times, stuff that makes you move when their opponent moves, stuff that you can do. Everyone's got stratagems which allow them to hit on one better or get, stuff that happens to you. But if everyone had access to the same things, much like 30k Horus heresy reactions, with a few exceptions here or there, then there's no gotchas, because they're only things that happen to me. But I know that you've got things that can happen to you as well, or minor gotchas, like when I move forward, I can move forward to you, or when you again. And 9th edition is a wash with gotchas, and Horus heresy, it doesn't have them. There aren't any rerolls. If the tank blows up over there and a shard smashes your captain into because you rolled a 1, then that's what happened. There's no re-roll in that shit. And yes, each legion has one thing that they can do once, but you tell your opponent it because you want to know what one thing their legion can do once. Imagine that was in 30k, like 40k, like once per battle. Say there's 5 or 6 stratagems in the core rulebook, and that's just there. Okay, here's another strip for you, Brap, if you're watching. Winter's SEO fixes Warhammer. So what you've got is you've essentially got assembly. No, I'm not ready yet. But stratagems, you had 6 core stratagems in the main rulebook that everyone has access to. And I don't know, maybe you could do I mean, like the 30k stratagems, reactions, you could do one in every phase if you wanted to. But there's 6 there. I don't know how often you can use them, but return fire and fall back and shoot and automatically pass morale and get rid of CP reroll and those ones. You've got 6, but your opponent can use them. You can use them. You know when they're being used. That's not gotcha. I hate gotcha moments. It didn't used to be like this. It didn't used to be like this. When that tank blew up and took out your captain, it took out your captain. And it's heartbreaking when it happens to you, but something like that is going to happen to your opponent during this game, and they flattened that out in 8th and 9th edition. They got rid of the... I mean, CP reroll changes everything. But then you've even got strats that allow models to get back up again and stuff like that. Which you have got in 30k, but there's literally 1 or 2 models. Not like, here's a strat and half your army can do it. Sam Nash, thank you for your first donation. 30k is brutal and the best game system at the moment. Yes, I agree with you, Sam. And thanks for coming round yesterday. Was it yesterday? Where you filmed with Alex SEO, the one that will be going up on YouTube. I haven't seen the edit of it yet. But as you know, Sam, I was well into that game. We had, coming to YouTube, it will be, this is 30k, there's a small contingent of Sons of Horus on a nothing system, thousands of light years away from any of the main conflict, cut off and being chased down by some space wolves. And this 700 point unit of Sons of Horus had to survive 3,000 points worth of rushing space wolves until the Sons of Horus called out for aid. And unfortunately for them, the Night Lords answered. And the Night Lords launched their counterattack. And despite all 3 armies coming from the same rulebook, same code, it felt... Night Lords, Space Wolves. The Space Wolves were mean. The Night Lords at night were terrifying. And the Sons of Horus, well, they were heroes on both sides. It was glorious. Not a gotcha moment in sight. I'm really enjoying it. So hopefully it comes across on camera, because I think I was a bit fangirling while I was filming that one, like blah, 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 as you saw, because you were there in the edit, kept stopping and blah, blah. So hopefully the edit comes out too, because sometimes I'm aware that when I'm editing, my words are blah, 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 blah. There's too many things going on. 1, I got to point the camera. 2, I got to breathe. 3, I got to remember what happened before and is coming next. 4, I've got to remember words. Yeah. I mean, I know I make it look easy. But it's difficult. It's a skill. It's a skill is what it is, chat. Come on, gas me up here. Gas me up. Karadra, I just want to say thank you for all the amazing content you're creating. Your bat reps really brought me back to 40k after 15 years. Greetings from Germany. Karadris, got to get in the queue, mate. There was a geezer on earlier. 22 years I brought him back. 22 years resurrected his old ass corpse. You, 15 years. But greetings to the fatherland and all that. Jonathan Dawson and drink. No. Simon M. Lol feels easy and that takes heroic effort. I'm waiting for someone to gas me up, basically. That's why I... Morning Winters. Hi, Jerome. How's it going? Jerome, have you got a chance to play any more Horus Heresy recently? Because I've played a dozen games now and you need to hit me up, particularly if you're off, because we're still in the festive period, sort of, and we should get a game in. What are you doing tomorrow? BC, let's just go to D10 and D12. Nah, well, the reason why they start with... You could now, because the reason why they started with D6s is because there weren't very many board games around at the time. Well, no, there were lots of board games around all the time. Sorry, lots of board games around all the time, but they only used D6s, and we're talking like Scrabble, Monopoly, things like that. It's D6s, D6s, D6s everywhere. I mean, D&D was still a fledgling thing back then. So there were no other game systems which asked you to use 40 dice, 40 d6s. So they couldn't scale up d10s. There were no big dice manufacturers producing tens of thousands of d10s like there is now, because there's loads of games like that. Back then, the only dice that you could get at scale were d6s. So it was set around a d6. So they could change that now. It's about accessibility, though. Every step away from accessibility, every inch that you give is a potential billion, at least 2 billion customers lost, isn't it? Or maybe 1,000 or 100. Let's just say even 100 customers lost because of that tiny step that you took away from accessibility. Then you've lost 100 customers. Let's say it's 10. Then you've lost 10. Or 0.000 point return, because that over time, 10 over time, because then there'll be another 10 next year or the other 10 next month or there. I wouldn't do it. Jerome, heresy sounds good. Mikey P and this guy have gone off the idea at the moment, so I have no opponents. Why? The bastards. Mikey P, I can understand this guy because, you know, who is this guy anyway? But Mikey P, come on now. I can teach you to play. I've even got Sultan in on a game behind the scenes. Me and Sultan Plays had a game. Not really a game, more like a training exercise. Because he's got some salamanders now. Well, he's got a 30k force of salamanders. I know because I bought him a box and said paint this way, and then all of those things. You add them to this, then you've got 30k salamander. So I know he has. Robert Saxon, Jarls. Now, I'm not saying 40k should be the same as Horus Heresy, but man, that game is awesome. 6 games now, absolutely love it. I know, if you can break your head over the rules, and there are a lot of rules. The little rules, like the codex rules that you need to remember for codexes, there's hardly any of them, because once you've got rending down, and once you've got some of the key ones down, you've got the key ones down. So that's the thing about Horus Heresy. It's not very accessible at all. To me, Heresy lacks my favourite faction, Orcs. Yes, James Evans. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. I don't think they could launch Warhammer Crusade. So you've got Warhammer 40k, Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and Warhammer Crusade. And in the Crusade titles are Horus Heresy, are the War for Armageddon, or are the, what was it called with the thing, Ullanor, the War for Ullanor during the Great Crusade. You could have those moments in a crusade in some title where it's narrative games, and Horus Heresy is in it. And that's the rule. Basically, it's a way of playing the Horus Heresy games with Orcs and with Eldar and with Dark Eldar and with Leagues of Votann, now we know, and things like that, playing with, and Necrons, and playing with these other factions in a historical setting. I cannot see a reason why that isn't going to happen in the long term. In the long term, you're going to have a lot of legacy sculpts and a lot of legacy miniatures. And you're going to have a lot of new sculpts and new miniatures. So right now, they've shown that they're completely resculpted in the Space Wolf range. Then resculpted in the Guard range, but the size of them makes the legacy miniatures look much smaller. And the legacy plastic miniatures before then look much bigger than the... If you put the new plastic kits beside the old school Rogue Trader kits, man, they're twice the size. You know, they're huge. So that's what they do. Now, if they continue to do that, they don't need a legacy system and a 40k system. But if they continue to do that in the way they're doing Space Marines, which is design a new range, which in the end will make the Firstborn, make a lore side of them obsolete, then they'll end up having 2 systems so that they can support all the legacy sculpts and all the Horus Heresy and all the other stuff that downstream. These are models that most people who are in the hobby already have, but new players coming into the hobby might want to play with that old ass Orc range or that old this, that range, or that. But I can't see that in the longer term, 10 years, 20 years, that the entire Orc range will be redone. Just in the same way that the Space Marine range is getting redone, and Chaos the same. In the longer term, it just makes sense, because everyone who will want to play the new hot new stuff will come in, and everyone who's played the old stuff and wants to play the hot new stuff will continue to play it, like me, played old school Space Marines, newborn Space Marines. And then anyone really old school who doesn't want to hold on to their old toys because they were still expanding that army, because they only had 16,000 points worth of orcs, and they wanted to get it up to about 25,000 points worth of orcs, because that's how many Eldar they have. Continues to expand and grow their hobby, and then they'll be playing in a legacy system. And I hope the core rules between both systems are the same thing, and it's the mission packs that are different, and it's the codexes that are different. I can't see... So it's inevitable that everything will get upgraded, and all the plastic kits like the Cadians and blah, blah, blah will get upgraded, because tooling never lasts forever. Those plastic the tooling will die. And there's only so far you can milk that cow until you need to completely refresh every single codex over a period of time, starting with Space Marines, because they always got tinkered with first. Only 20 dice for orcs. No, we need at least 60. Yes, you do. And so we're talking about dice. Good. So what we started up with today is, hello everyone. It's the end of 2022. I hope you had a lovely Christmas, and I hope you're looking forward to your new year. But this is the 2022 Warhammer wrap-up. What happened in 2022 in Warhammer, apart from Horus heresy? I think we covered that one. What happened? Question Winters says, Marcus Cordova, why don't you use the second part of Master Artisans for the 13th? Just curious. The second part of Master Artisans? They re-roll hits. The first part of Master Artisans, the second part used to be re-roll hits and re-roll wounds. Now they just re-roll hits. So which codex is it? In this codex, does it have a second part? I'm curious. Dr. Spock, you've tickled my curiosity. Master Betas. What now? Master Artists. Where the crap? Who? Marcos Cordova. Why don't you use the second part of Master Artisans? Master Artisans, each time a unit with this tactic is selected to shoot or fight, you can reroll one hit roll when resolving that unit's attacks. There isn't a second part. But thanks for your question. I think you're referring to an older book. What happened in Warhammer in 2022? Any questions? Winters, how long did it take you to make that last story time? I'm in love with it. Thank you, Simon M. I really enjoyed making that last story time. It took about 4 months, and that's because the two boys from Cornwall who played the World Eaters Demons versus 13th battle reports that have been on recently, those two guys, Joshua, who's Gitsnick, the little fella, him, the one who was all smiling when he's playing demons. He sent me a story time that he'd done before our game, saying, I'm really looking forward to our game. I've written this down. And I read it and I thought, oh man, that is awesome. Because I could see the other side of the story. I could see the 13th side of the story. So what I did is I got his story and I ripped it in parts. And I put the 13th in there all over the place. And fiddled with his bits, and he fiddled with my bits, and then we waited for the second mission, and then we played the second mission, and then I did the second half of the story. I said I'd do it the very next day, but I only managed to get one of the chunks done the very next day. My brain wasn't firing, so I just got that done, and I was like, damn, I have to finish this. And then 3 days in, I sort of like, right, I've got today. I'm going to do it today. And it did take all day to write it all, the rest of it, and then cut and put it all together. And then he sent it and we sent it and we like, mwah. And then 4 months was that process. But if we weren't playing, it would have taken a lot shorter period of time. But if we weren't playing, it would have never got written. And I had an idea, which is what I'm going to do at some point, is get all the story times on YouTube and put them together into one long video, because someone said that they like to listen to them all. And I thought, and asked, wouldn't it be good if, actually, that was ages ago. Someone asked, wouldn't it be good if, or was that me that thought of that? I can't remember, but wouldn't it be good if they were all in one thing? I don't know, 3 hours, how long ever they get to these days. So you can fall asleep to me in the evening. Warhammer 2022 wrap up. What else happened? Where are we? What was the worst game experience you had this year? Worst game experience I had this year? The worst one? Worst one? I mean, I don't have bad game experiences. So my brain's just come up with blank with that. Winners, what was your favourite victory on the tabletop in 2022? Again, struggling to think of that one as well. Mainly think of moments. I think of those hero moments and those glorious flanks or collapses. There must have been 1 or 2 victories though. Oh, I do remember one recently actually. So the 13th had been getting smacked a bit during this period of 2022. And I had been getting smacked a bit from Chewie's Necrons in particular. For a couple of years since he started collecting Necrons. And I think a couple of days before, this is what happens when I read YouTube comments or other comments. A couple of days before, I was due to go up with Chewie and play his Necrons again for like the 4th time. And he was bringing a buddy this time. So he had like 2,000 points and his buddy had 2,000 points. And it'd be like, and I played the buddy before, forget his name. So it's like 4,000 points worth of Necrons versus the 13th. And Chewie was really tying this into his whole story arc. Like, you know, the 13th are really on the back foot now, and if this mission goes, it means my whole Necrons have completely smashed them off the planet and blah, blah, and out of the sex. And I was going, yeah, because this is the conversations I have with Chewie and with Steve, not Rob, and with all the people I play with all the time. Like, I mean, Chewie's, God damn it, I forget his Space Marine chapter that I've gone up. My brain is all over the place this evening. But yeah, he's got a whole narrative behind his Space Marine chapter as well. He's well into it. Anyway, Necrons, and I think it was a day or a couple of days before, there must have been a comment at some point saying, you don't like watching you with the 13th because every time I do they die. And I was like, well, right, I shall show you. And so I wrote a keen 13th list, and it was 4,000 points of 13th. I think this one's for members or in the deployment zone. Someone will have to say, I was really happy I won that one. But not because I beat Chewie or the other dude, I can't remember his name. Sorry if you're watching this. Sorry, I love you. My brain. But for the 13th, I was really happy for the 13th. So essentially, in the narrative that I'd forged with Chewie, which this is what we do, and you catch some of it in the battle reports. But the narrative I forged with Chewie is if the 13th were dicked here, then they were smashed in this. This was a significant chunk to my lore. You know, this is an agreement that we have going on here. This is we embark in these stories together on the tabletop and off the tabletop. And by winning there, it meant that the 13th managed to, after losing and losing, I pressed the button. Ignore that. My elbow went into the thing. After losing and losing and losing and losing and losing, it meant that those were great tactical genius moments of not falling back, but tactically repositioning back and back and back and back and back. so that we could get out of the system really quick, because this was a Necron tomb world waking up, rampaging across this system. And in the Orpheus sector, I mean, that sowed the doom of at least 3 entire Space Marine chapters, and that was one dynasty waking up. And I had 2 on my case, yo! So I was pleased I won that one because the 13th one, not me. Lord Inquisitor Vex, one more of my gorgeous moderators. Thank you so much for being in the chat. Evening all, Happy New Year and all that good stuff. 07th. Inquisitor, Lord Inquisitor, it's good to see you, my lord. BC, so like 120 views and less than half the likes. Yes, guys, come on, smash that like button. How am I on 56 likes? 57? $63? It's like we are stung by a bee. That rhymes. Give us a good reason for the New Orc boys. No. BC, Space Marines should be the beginner army gargoyle. Space Marines should be accessible because many people come through the hobby. 73. So many people are drawn into the hobby because of Space Marines. Should be accessible, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the beginner army. They could have a beginner army called the Blurg. And the Blurg, to play the Blurg, it's like Imperial Knights, but instead of running 5 to 8 knights, you run 12 to 15. They're like all dreadnought size, the Blurg. And the reason why it's the perfect beginner army is because you only need 12 to 15 to get up to 2,000 points. Hell, with 6, 7, 8, you can even play 1,000 point games of the Blurg. And because they're all dreadnought size, they all look really cool with loads of really rockets on and this, that, and the other and blah, blah, blah. And you make them look mean. I mean, there's Games Workshop designers that blow my mind all the time. It's why I'm here paying them so much money. Please give me more plastic crack, please. Games Workshop, please. But the Blurg could be the perfect beginner army. It's exactly the sort of thing that will just stand out on the tabletop. Space Marines going up against them and give them some really cool lore as well. The Blurg are actually burst out of a dimensional breach that the Necrons put around them 60 million years ago in the first war in heaven. They were another race that was created by the old ones, and they're these big, hulking, super cool space gladiator warriors in super power armor tech. And yeah, a race of we've had Space Marines 7 feet tall, we've had Primaris, we've even had Primarchs 9 feet tall, but the Blurg, you can make them 12 feet tall, 15 feet tall, genetically engineered super, and they're not human. You know, you make them, they look human-esque, but give them like a third eye, or give them like armored skin for skin. They were a weapon by the old ones, and they've got all this cool kit, and they look really cool on the battlefield. And one of them, it takes you need 1.5 squads of Space Marines to take them down. You need 2 Carnifexes to jump on 1 Carnifex, or 2 of these guys jumping on 1 Carnifex. That sort of level of play. The Blurg, it would be epic, and Warhammer 40k purists would be up in arms, just like they did when they introduced the Necrons, and then flipped the script on the Necrons, and boy were they up in arms when the Tau came out. Those Gundam sons of bitches, not my 40k, not my 40k, let's build a wall. And it's called the Damocles Gulf. So what else happened in Warhammer 40k in 2020? So Crocs, yes, Robert, right. Crocs would be great, but Crocs became Orcs, didn't they? Overlord, are the Blurg about the size of an Amble? No, I'd make them bigger, make them cool, man. I mean, how many points is a Dreadnought? 115, no juice on it. Carnifex, 120. Redemptor Dreadnought, 190. Warsuit, 150. So I say they're, 200 points. See, so 200 points for one of these things at 2,000 points. If they were 200 points each, that's 10 of them. And you want people to bring about 15 of them. So yeah, you're looking warsuit size. You're looking things between the size. I mean, look, the faster lads, okay, which are sprinting forward and have turbo boosters on their things. You're talking mecha Blurg power armor. It's the Blurgish Blurg, and it's got massive jump boosts, massive rockets, 2 missiles on his back, sword in each hand, and he's a 12, 15 foot power armored super space ninja for 150 points. He's one of the fast ones, 125. And you get 3 of them in a unit of 3 and they hit. And then behind them, you've got the Redemptor dreadnought size Blurg, and they've got like the missile rack, like, out Gundam the Gundam. The Blurg have more guns than the Blurgdam. They're just guns, and then and then they've got some sort of, and give them really cool Space Marine high-tech techie space, and they are so advanced that essentially what they've done is broken out of the stasis tomb that the Necrons put them in 60 million years ago, and there's a crack. And who they really, really, really want to kill are Necrons and Eldar. Make them their primary. So the war isn't just chaos versus these all the time. Or start them off wanting to kill Necrons or Eldar. And Krorks, they hate them. Absolutely. But you could evolve with them because they could be an intelligent dudes that you can speak to. And over time, the law could be like, eventually, okay, we hate the Imperium too. When we side with the Tau or something like that. I mean, there's something you can do with the Blurg. Or the other thing you can do with the Blurg is mind flay them. So they like to fight with stuff, but they could also ally to any army for any reason except Tyranids, because Tyranids can't have any fun ever. But they can ally with anyone else because that's what they do, because they live to fight. Yeah, they lived a noble thing. Their kingdom is dead. Everything is gone. Oh my God. There'll be a love story involved. There'll be female Blurg as well. Everyone will be really happy. And Blurg with wings. And it'll be the best race ever. And we'd lap that up. And the purists, though. This is not how dare they bring along more genetically engineered. They're not genetically engineered superhumans, Harry, okay? They're not humans. Yes, but they've got arms and legs. But so does an Eldar. You wouldn't see an Eldar as human. Well, that's preposterous. They have crystal for bones. It's just, it doesn't start off as crystal. It just gets them when they're very old. Don't law correct me, Winters. I'll law correct you as much as I want, motherfucker. Now sit the fuck down, yo. It's the Blurg. Everyone likes the Blurg. So wrap up 2022 Warhammer 40k. Do they wear Burgundy? Yes, they wear Burberry. Sean Burger. They just have giant smiles on their faces for every model. So yes, we are talking about what happened in Warhammer 40k in 2022. What also happened? Heresy happened. We also had, what else did we have? We had some dreadful Knight Codexes. See there, they are the beginner army. They were the beginner army. I used to get the question quite a lot, which is, I'm starting Warhammer 40k. Which army would you recommend I start with? And my answer before this Chaos Codex and this Imperial Knights Codex was, start with Knights, because you can get a big knight and 4 little knights and you're at 1,000 points. And your army's quite strong. And if you explain to your first opponents, if you're going out and playing against someone you've never played against before, and if you explain to them, hey, this is one of my first games, I'm just learning, and that's why I got Knights, because I listened to this Winters chap who told me to get Knights because it's easier to collect, easier to paint, easier to build, because it's just 5-6 of them, and easy to play because they never had Psychers, which they do, and they never had a turn-by-turn thing, which they do now, and they never had it was an easy to play army. Then 99 out of 100 people will go, yeah, of course, I understand Winters is a twat, let me show you, let me help you have the best fun that you can. And unfortunately, 1 times in 100, you're going to run into that guy. But they were the starter army. And now look what they did to my babies. Sean Chen, not enough Deathwatch happened. Would be nice to get at least one good Deathwatch book or a Primaris character, just saying. Do you know when they Deathwatched the Deathwatch, they weren't going to put in any Primaris Death Watch. Like in the Grey Knights book, they haven't Primarisfied the Grey Knights yet. They weren't going to Primarisify the Death Watch either, but they did because of some of the artists in the heavy metal painting studio just kit bashed and painted up, or took a kit of the new Primaris Marines and Death Watched them up themselves anyway, because they love the Death Watch. Who doesn't love the Death Watch? And it's because some of the rules writers saw the models that had been Death Watched up, Primaris ones. They're like, that's so cool. We have to get them in the new codex. So they got them in the new codex. But yeah, not much Death Watch stuff happened. In the barracks deodorant. I don't know what you're talking about. In life, war, in death, in peace, in life, shame, in death. I don't know what you're talking about. Where are we? Votann came out. Yes. So here we are. The Leagues of Votann came out in 2022 as well, because in this live stream, we're talking about what happened in Warhammer in 2022. And Votann, thanks. What did we think of Votann? Where are you from, Winters? I'm from Terra, Jonathan Dawson. Which planet are you from? Yeah, what did you guys think of Leagues of Votann? I think it was a wonderful missed opportunity. It's a whole new faction. It's a whole new faction. And it was so clunky, that book, wasn't it? That should have been the entry army. Hey, here's a brand new army. Look how easy it is to play. Not broken AF. LL, £5 donation. Thank you so much for your donation. Merry Christmas from Planet Rodion. Somewhere like that. I don't know. But thank you for your donation. I really appreciate you. The new beginner army will be LOV, says Dorian. Leagues of Votann? It should be. Because it's a new range, so they want to... it'll help them sell it more if it becomes the new beginner army, but it shouldn't be. The new beginner army should be the Blurg. Love the Votann, but it hates the focus of nerf before owning my first. Oh, right. So, Cars, yes, it was nerfed before you even owned your first model. Yeah, that's a bit shit, isn't it? Bought the codex, the rules changed 3 days later. Yeah. I quit playing Space Wolves. Yeah. I enjoyed playing against them one time I did. Votann are missing big robots. They definitely are. Chaos Knights are still easy to play. Imperial less so. Yeah. I mean, everything's relative. They're much less easy to play than they were. They do have cool but short models. Yes, they do. Robert, absolutely disappointing. I was expecting Space Wolves got half-melted Space Wolves. Commander Baneblade, Winter. Sexiest man alive, changed my mind. I can't possibly change your mind on that because I don't know who Winter is. LL, I wish the Votann wasn't so advanced. Wish they were more scrappy and on their last legs. Yes, one of the missed opportunities for the League of Votann that they really missed was, okay, so we're introducing the League into Warhammer 40k. And the Center of the Galaxy was a nice get out of jail free card. I like that. That worked for me. But you're right. They could have been scrappy. They could have had a dark secret. Here's the thing they could have done. And that half of their species is completely infected by chaos. And later you can have chaos. Well, you can put them both in the same codex. Let's have the spread of chaos go that way as well. They could have been the Kroot face, the human-ish face of what is behind them. This massive AI, robotic, cybernetic, nasty, living machine, mind, matrix. It could have been more, as you and I are saying. It could have been more. It could have been the dial. I get the feeling that some of the OG creators of Warhammer 40k or some of the writers in Warhammer 40k, when they get hold of lore like that and they get to think about it for a bit, they'll crank it up to 11. They always cranked it up to 11. Okay, so the Leagues of Votann are coming back. We've got this secret to reveal. Let's crank it up to 11. They came back. But there should have been some... You're right, there's not enough Grimdark there. There should have been something horrific in the closet. And maybe Hopefully there is still time for that with what are the Votan themselves, these monster AI, and then there's another layer. This is all that we were shown on the first time. There's still an onion or two that they could peel on that. There's still redemption in this story to give us the grim of the dark of the Leagues of Votan. Make it dirty. Make it dirty, Games Workshop. Make it dirty. Please. Super dirty. I like it when it's dark. The return of the Screamer Killer was a cause for fireworks. Yeah, man. Carnifex distraction lists are a thing again. The Screamer Killer in 2022. Oh, yes. I've got 6 up there that I haven't even painted that I got at the start of that thing because so many other things happening and painting and thing and the Necrons. And yeah, the return of the Screamer Killer. It should be scary. And there are other things in the tyranny list that make it beautiful as well. And that's a pretty good codex for... I hate the turn by turn or the once per, that synaptic... So commands going down and up like Captain's Lieutenant, yeah, fine. But invulnerable saves getting turned on or +2 movement here or something else over there or something. No! Get rid of that crap. Yeah, where were we? I don't know. I like my social satire more than my grim dark, hence I play Orcs BC. Yes. So it's not just grim dark. I'm not saying Warhammer 40k is, of course Warhammer 40k isn't this. Warhammer 40k is different for everyone, and that's part of its great success over these years. Some people are drawn into it artistically for many different reasons, for painting, for the video games, for the books. Some are drawn into it creatively and as collectors, and lore-wise many of us are drawn in for the grim dark, but also the humor. Also they do the grim dark really well, and they do the exceptional heroes and exceptional failures very well. So their books, and I know this is a lot of hyperbole, but their books are very Shakespearean in grandeur. So Horus killing the emperor or vice versa, or this is it's turned up to 11, and that's what we like about it. It's so very, very good there, and humor as well when it is done, and the over topness, the other side of it is so big, the scale of it is so massive. There's worming through all the cracks of the Horus heresy and of Warhammer 40k is the humor. It's absurd, and we know it's absurd, and it makes us laugh, and that's why we love it. Because when you're having your face pulled off by a tyrannid bug, with any bug, you're in Catachan on your holiday, having a lovely time, going through the jungle, thinking, hey, you're going to have a look for a decent dinosaur around here or one of those horrible creatures. You've got a guardsman with you. He's a veteran. He hasn't got a quirky look to his face, and he didn't say, oh, no money, just put it in the trust fund for the daughter because he knew he was walking off into the jungle that one last time. Oh, no. You go off with him into the jungles of Catachan. It doesn't have to be a tyrannid face hugger. It can be just some of the local fauna or flora on Catachan. And then before you know it, you've got half a face, something burrowing down inside your central nervous system, turning you into this half flower, half gerbil, monstrous man-eating killing machine that will go back to the Catachan nice tented village where the Catachans are born like Ewoks in the jungle. Did you know that? They're all swinging on trees. They all go jup, jup, ega baga baga, jup, jup, that sort of stuff. That's Catachans for you. And then it goes back there and kills them all. Yeah. We like that humor. It's funny. It's when it's done, it's satire. So it's not done like someone falls over, ha ha. But they do pull on that every now and then because that's funny too. But it's satirical. It's nice. It's a big, glorious space that has attracted each and every one of us to it. And we're not just there for the horror. So we were looking back at Warhammer in 2022. How long have I been going? What happened? We've touched our tips. Where did that come from? What? We have touched tips with... No. We have touched on the Leagues of Votann. We have touched on orcs. What else have we touched on? Heresy. Some other things. And we're here to talk about Warhammer in 2022. What happened? What was it all about? James Tarr, I don't know the Lord of Leagues of Votann lore. Aren't they chaotic neutral in old money? They're pretty much neutral. They live in the galactic core, which no other species can get to. Why? Because of MacGuffin, which meant that they were bred. Essentially, the hidden bit of their lore is the Golden Age of humanity. We went everywhere in the galaxy, including the galactic core, because we could, but we had to genetically engineer and make ships and make AI that could go and live and replicate and stay alive in the galactic core, because no other species can. That's their lore, and they've been cut off from humanity ever since. And they look down at the Imperium with a little bit of pity. And they're not necessarily humans because they're vat grown, but it's human DNA. The science came from Terra. They came from Terra. But it's asking the question, are they more human than the AdMech? Than Space Marines? Than pariahs? Are they more human or are they less human than a pariah? Than a psyker? Than a Custodes? Are they more human than that? And does your origin, does Terra matter? Well, actually, it does matter in galactic terms, seeing as it'll rip open into a new maelstrom should he die. Not overnight, of course. They'd come spilling out first. First, there'd be trillions of blood and more blood and blood for the blood god. There'd be something about skulls and a throne. That would happen first. And then over a dozen years, 100 years, 1,000 years, it would rip it in twain and infect all the other. Anyway, it's a bad thing. It's a good job he ain't dead, allegedly. Chaos got a load of cool stuff and more to come in 23. Yeah, Chaos got a load of cool stuff. Some of their new models are juicy. And with World Eaters coming, it looks like it's going to get juicier. Chaos had some good love this year, finally. Chaos got an extra wound. And an extra toughness on their Predators and a Land Raider, which I think is a good change, and I don't mind waiting for mine. 2022 match play seasons was a nice change, says Karks. Yeah, so I said that at the start. One of the big winners for 9th edition is match play, tournament play, competitive play, that side of things. Because you say match play like that is the only kind of match play, but it isn't. There's Tempest of War. There's the match play rules in the main rule book. There's the chapter approved tournament rules pack match play. There's different. Tempest of War is matched. But the seasons, just like there's different ways of playing Crusade and there's different ways of Open, and they're so bad at explaining this. There isn't 3 ways of playing 40k. There's 8 different ways of playing 40k. But because they put that 3 ways to play 40k in the main rule book, everyone's like, and they should get rid of that. They should say, here are some open way plays of playing the game, and they have different mission packs. Here are some narrative way of playing the game, and there's got the Crusade mission packs and Horus heresy, and then here are the match play ways of playing the game. It's easy. Give players as many ways of playing your game as possible, so it's accessible as possible. Where are we? But yes, as I said back at the beginning, the match play thing, that's one of the things that got that benefited from this edition. The match play players. Love Tempest of War BC. Me too. I love Tempest of War. It's like Maelstrom, isn't it? But not as good. LL, I guess 2022 was best played for everyone who's not a Space Marine player. I'm hoping for lots of Marines in 2023. Tempest of War is fun. Tempest of War is basically my default game. The most I've had The most fun I have still are narrative games by far. Yes, so Crusade games will make up your own narrative. Play your 40k. It's not their 40k. There's lots of ways of playing 40k, and play 40k the way you want to play 40k. Sasha, my sweet man, love to catch you live. Hi, Sasha. You make me blush now. We're talking about Warhammer 2022 wrap up. What happened this year? We've done Tempest. Chaos got a big upgrade. Stephen Burden's still waiting for his guard, so that guard isn't a thing this year. Leagues of Votan, Chaos. It was been good for match play. What else? Heresy, we talked about that. Anything else happened? 2022 was the year Brother Grimm died. Wrap it up and let's play some sweet Horus Heresy, lads. Yeah, okay. So let's remind. I need some more ideas. What happened in 2022? What happened in 2022? Warhammer wise. Waiting for some Iron Warriors. Nice, but what happened in 2022? We had the Solar War, of course. We got some. Looking forward to the Solar War next year, but any advancement in the Horus Heresy story was awesome. Good to see that. Eldar got some new models after how long, says Robert Saxon Nazar, but who cares? It's Eldar. S. Chen, thank you. Thank you for your donation. For Brother Corland, a new brother in watch. You remember Brother Corland? Awesome. The last of his kind. Yeah, Legend's choice now, isn't he? Still got him painted, still got the model. His time has come. Warhammer Plus recommitted. Sasha, you asking? No. Warhammer Minus. There's still. I've heard. I don't need to go there to watch painting things and battle reports. And if they're painting things and battle reports, look, I'm glad they're out there. Games Workshop need to have. The internet is a thing. They need to have something on the internet. All big companies do it. It's the future. The internet is the shop window of the 21st century. So they're on the internet, good for them. But there's nothing in there that I particularly want to buy yet. Let's say that. And when I do, I might reconsider. But, yeah. Or, yeah. I think that's the best thing to say about that. Oh, Sasha, you mean that they recommitted to new content? Yeah, so, yes. Warhammer Minus have said that they've recommitted to new content. This should be an ongoing. There should be teasers and behind the scenes and interviews with people who take part, and they should drive their own. It's just, yeah. So it's nice they dropped a trailer for something that they should be telling the community more about more often. Not because, one, it'll help drive sales to their product, and two, it'll give content to people who have paid for their product, who are really committed in watching. Oh, I want to see some of the behind the scenes, or I want to listen to the writer on that particular series. Those are your super fans. We got new Chaos Guardsmen, new Kroot, new naval troops. Now we need some renegades and heretic rules. Yes, we do, BC. Kill Team had some sweet stuff. Yes, it did. We had the possible death of Yarrick this year. R.I.P. Yarrick. R.I.P. Will he come back? He must come back, surely. Basically, Yarrick's getting another model. They'll make money. If they did Yarrick Reborn and Primericified Yarrick somehow, they'd make bank. So he's coming back. We all want to see a Astartes Season 2 on Warhammer Plus. Yes, if Astartes Season 2 ever comes out on Warhammer Plus, I will subscribe for 1 month and watch it. And that's probably all I'll see. And if they string it out over 3 or 4 or 5 months, then I won't watch it. I'll wait until it's all out. and then I'll watch it. The Fall of Cadia. That didn't happen this year. Scale creep happened this year. Yes, it's just, that happens. It happens all the... Oh yeah, not points creep, scale creep. Everything's getting bigger. It's always been getting bigger since Rogue Trader, though. It's just getting bigger again. This is one of the next... This is stage 3. We had stage 1 was mainly metal. Stage 2 was mainly plastic, but it was the first type of plastic. And most of the first types of plastic were bigger than the mainly metal ranges. And then you had fine cut, And now we're into stage 3, which is... So we had the first range of plastics... first range of metals, then the first range of plastics. And now we're onto the second full range of plastics. And everything is increasing in scale, just like it did between the first and second range. And it'll increase in scale again. But don't worry, we've got 10 years. Probably. 15. I'm going with 15. It's been 30, right? Yeah, because it's not like there's a cutoff point. This happens over time. Right, where are we? Sanguinary Guard. Vashtor announced. Yes. It looks good. Disciples. You need Vashtor for my 5 army Disciples of Be'lakor. I don't think Be'lakor will be able to go with Vashtor, right? Because Be'lakor can only be the only demon prince, and Vashtor will be a demon prince, so I'm pretty certain you wouldn't be able to bring Vashtor and Be'lakor in the same list. And I'm pretty certain that when they release Vashtor, his rules will be broken like Be'lakor's. Because he's not just a demon prince, he's a demon prince vying to become a chaos god. So this guy is going to be hench. Maybe not as hench as Angron, because Angron needs to be the henchiest hench thing ever. I love the fact that he can do 33 attacks or something. It's just insane. You don't want to get hit by Angron. Of course not. Angron should be, without doubt, without question, in every single edition, once Angron gets launched, Angron needs to be, without doubt, without question, in every single edition, in every single codex he's ever played, in any soup, he should be the meanest thing in close combat ever. No one wants to be assaulted by Angron. A tank commander, 10 Terminators, another Primarch. Angron should be the scariest close combat thing in Warhammer 40k. And that's all he does. So, none of the psychic, none of the shooting, none of the stuff. You basically know that if you go up against Angron and he's on the other side of the army, that he's going to kill half of your army. And you can't beat him in close combat. You know that. You just have to shoot the crap out of him and hopefully he bleeds to death by the end of turn 2. Because if Angron is still alive, like in turn 3, then you're probably in a lot of trouble. And if he's still alive in turn 4 or 5, you're dead. Same with Mortarion. And the same with Magnus. If Magnus and Mortarion are still running around, largely untouched in turns 4 or 5, or even half full, or even a quarter full, if they're still around in turns 4 or 5 in most games of Warhammer 40k, it means the person with the Primarch has won. And that's not imbalance. That's perfect balance. I want to be scared of Angron when he's coming at me. I want to think, oh shit, I didn't bring enough guns. So how many units am I going to feed him instead? I'll shoot him with everything I've got for 3 turns and slow him down by half. And maybe, instead, because I haven't brought enough guns, I'll use all my guns to shoot at everything else in the Chaos Army. And instead, I'm going to have to move block with a bloody Land Raider. I'm going to have to move block with 5 Terminators. I'm going to have to shift my whole force from here to here, because when he hits me, he'll go through everything. Because he's Angron and he's supposed to. He should be terrifying. If you bring a Tyranid Hierophant and there's Angron in front of you, that you should be the Hierophant that runs away. You shouldn't be. If you're a Warlord Titan and I'm stood there with my guns, I better be hoping I shoot Angron to death before he gets into close combat with my kneecap, because my kneecap is going bye-bye. That's what I want Angron to be. And I'm delighted to see his rules are really OP, and I'm hoping Vashtor is close to broken, and Be'lakor should be close to broken, but not. It's not broken, it's just... A 500 point model can change a game, but you can play the 500 point model tax, which is, okay, that 500 point model, I'll try and let it kill only as close to 500 points worth of my stuff. Or maybe 1,000 points of my stuff, it kills 1,000 points of my stuff. But my 2,000 points of stuff will kill the other 1,500 point in my opponent's. So he's got that and maybe 1 or 2 units left or 1 or 2 models left, but you've still got 500 points of your army left or something. You play that game. And that's a fun game to play too. Then there's Robot Gorilla, something about, he has beaten up a Titan before in HH, if I'm right in my thinking. He did? Well, he bench pressed one. The only one that... Who's actually killed a Titan in the heresy? Lorgar threw a Thunderhawk at one. I think Sanguinius killed a Reaver. I thought it was a Warhound, but someone told me it was a Reaver or 2. Who else? My brain is going blank. I think we've got 3 confirmed Primarch on Titan deaths. Sanguinius did. Yes, he did. Anyway, so I think we've smashed on everything that happened in 2022 in Warhammer. And we've come to some sort of definitive list. We had some Eldar, which no one cares about, and some miniatures were released. For Chaos in particular, Votan was a bit of a miss. Votan a bit hit, they dropped the ball on that one. And Horus Heresy was huge. And yeah, there were some lovely releases, some lovely new models. The lore moved forward a little bit. Guard, it would have been nice if Guard was earlier. And and Votan could have been so much bigger. Damn, that sucked. I'll tell you what we can remember 2022 for as well. Games Workshop are listening to the community. They are listening to you. 2022 was one of the last full years of this edition, and we didn't get a Psychic Awakening or an Octavius or one of those update books. So now you need your codex and you need this other book with you to take to. They didn't do that. They heard that sort of stuff sucked. And when we get the Arcs of Omen series counting down to the end of this edition, there's going to be no additional... The only new stuff in the new books are going to be like the games they're going to play. I think Vashtor is going to be in there. Any new models that they release that aren't necessarily in your codex are going to end up in there. So it doesn't overrule anything. And if you just want to collect it and get it for that, you can. So that was 2022. Thank you for being here throughout the whole year. Thank you for being a supporter or a subscriber, a lover, a fighter, a pilot, a Space Marine, an Inquisitor, a squat. Thank you all out there for this journey I've taken in 2022 and the journey that we've been on together. And I'm looking forward to the new journey in 2023. I'm looking forward to the Guard and all the things that are coming out. The World Eaters is a really interesting thing. Really interested to see what they do with that. But honestly, I'm having more fun playing Horus Heresy right now. Because there's no gotcha moments. Well, there is... I know what... You know what each other... It's... I'm not stopping my opponent do stuff or affecting my opponent's version of the rules. You can't hit me on this, you can't woo me on that. I can get through invulnerable save. Everything is my army does this, my army does that. And you know that your opponent can do that too. It's so I'm enjoying the heresy more than 40k, but it doesn't mean that I'm not enjoying playing Toy Soldiers 40k. I am enjoying 40k. Like I said, this weekend on Sunday is 8,000 points. 8,000 points on the table, 4,000 points worth of Necrons versus 4,000 points of Tau. You can't do that in Horus Heresy. I also like playing with my new Necrons. I like playing with the Death Guard still because they're simple and they're relentless. And they go back to the Horus Heresy. Den of Imagination are working on my Horus Heresy Death Guard right now because you've seen the Sons of Horus. So I've sent out about 3,000 points. I don't want to say 3,000. About 2,500 points worth of Death Guard to Den of Imagination as well. So you can imagine on this Band 3, the Death Guard and the Sons of Horus. Again, it's just... Yes, but very much enjoying playing Horus Heresy more than 40k, but loving 40k still. That's what I wanted to say. Looking forward to seeing what comes with the World Eaters in particular. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. How long is it taking me to say goodbye? Let's read the last few couple of comments. Mouth going blah, 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 blah. So, Robert Saxon, thanks for being in the chat. Scython Nalio, he's in Switzerland trying to find someone to play 30k with. In Switzerland, if there's any of the thousands of people who watch this after it goes live in Switzerland, hit up Scython Nalio. You might be living down the road from him. Thank you, The Hobo. Thank you, Robert White. Thank you, BCLL. All of you for being here this evening. Stephen Lee, Cladius9. What Xenos are they going to release for 30k? They're not. Robert White, thanks to 2022 winters. Here's to 2023 winters. Yes. And here's to all you lovely people as well. Hope you had a lovely Christmas and looking forward to, and I hope you all have a lovely New Year. And I'm looking forward to next year and what's coming then. So yes, brain is drying up, getting distracted. Now I'm going. That was fun. I thought that was fun. Did we think it was fun? I thought that was fun. That was fun. Sometimes I get nervous, but on the surface I look calm and ready. Thank you to the person who bought this in the run-up to Christmas. The Winters SEO patented t-shirt. Thank you to the one person. You have great taste. We're babysitting. The cat's got a friend. Kasha's got a friend. Anna. And we're babysitting another cat while Anna and her family are away. And it's cuter than my cat. I'm conflicted. And I heard her go, so that means she's got to go. And definitely late, yeah, so she's gone again to see the other cat, which is in the other house. This one actually is nice and like it's young, jumps up. You can lift it up without breaking an arm. Doesn't shout at you, and claw your face, and it's nicer than my cat. So, but that was fun. I had fun. It was good. I think, what am I going to do now? The boys might be on playing Warzone. Grab a cup of tea. Everyone's good. We're good. Thanks. Happy New Year. Too many slim t-shirts on your channel. Dude, she did the there's like, she clicked on the box. You can get them in slim fit. You can get them in the other fits. You can get them in loads of fits. So, anyway, thank you, MW. Thank you. Happy Wargaming. This is a wrap. Are we wrapping? Happy Wargaming. Blah, blah.